But everybody thought my man Daron was the villain. Whole time, Amon St. Brown started this. But you know what they say? It's never the person that started. It's always the person that retaliates. Let's talk about it.
Shout out to Juan Gotti talking sports. You know what it is. Shout out Juan Gotti talking sports.
The way that we live is not for everybody.
Nah, that ain't it, y'all.
How do you think the rest of Jaden Daniels' career is going to go? If we're, 6, 7 games into Jaden Daniels' career, and he's already milking injuries? Like,
stop saying my name, you dick riding bastard. I love the way she move it, shake it on me. When she cry for him, and Shawty is the winner. You can tell that Shawty's love again now, she's confident.
So what's up, y'all? As you know, Daron Payne has been suspended 1 game for punching Amon St. Brown. And when it first happened, a lot of people were like, oh, this is your team captain. Oh, Daron Payne just upset and he mentally checked out. That's what we all was really saying, because no one saw the first part of what actually happened. And quite frankly, I was there for the first half, and I didn't even see Daron Payne get ejected or see anything either. I looked up, and then I just heard the ejection happen. I didn't know who it was at the moment until after I left. And when I first seen the video of Daron Payne hitting Amon St. Brown, of course the first reaction is, oh, Daron Payne, what are you doing, blah, blah, blah. But then, again, like, after thinking about it, I'm like, hold on, bro. Like, that's not Daron Payne's character. Like, we know Daron Payne is a fiery guy. We know he ain't a person to go like that. We know he ain't a person that's just going to let you push him over. But Daron Payne isn't a person to start anything. He's normally the guy that finishes it. Like, look at the incident that happened with him and Jonathan Allen a few years ago on Sunday Night Football. Jonathan Allen, him and Jonathan Allen were getting into it, and we see how that happened, right? Like, typically, it's something that has to be done first, and then that's when Daron Payne typically retaliates. In this instance, Amon St. Brown swung on him first. And it looked to be like it was a different play. I don't know if it was necessarily the same play, but that doesn't matter. How the hell are you going to suspend Daron Payne for retaliating, but you don't do the same for Amon St. Brown, in which he seemed to have started this whole situation? And what makes it even worse is the NFL, the refs literally saw it. The ref literally broke it up. The ref literally said something to him. Now, what I will say, the only issue, if this isn't the same play, which I don't think it is, only thing that I could say is wrong. Okay, Daron, you probably shouldn't have did that. That's how you got caught. Again, the person that typically retaliates is the one that gets caught 9 times out of 10. But again, it seemed as if Amon may have said something else, and we know he has a history of saying a lot. He talks a lot. Like, that's one thing about St. Brown, and I ain't gonna lie to you. You know, I was like, man, F St. Brown after what happened, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, bro, I rock with the Lions. You know, I try to support their players. You know, my dog, one of my closest friends, the Lions fan. But after saying that, I'm like, man, F Amon Ra, bro. Like, why you do that? You know what I'm saying? You hit him, and then when he retaliates, you know what I'm saying? You gonna look around like you ain't like, that's the ultimate rage bait right there. And Daron Payne fell for it, man. He did. But this is no surprise. This is how this season has went. Like, we're getting injured every week, right? We're just bad football team right now. Coaching changes, as we'll get to a little bit later. And this falls right in line with everything else, right? Like, Daron Payne getting suspended. At what point, what's new, right? Last week, Frankie Louvu was going to be suspended until he appealed the hip drop tackle situation. Like, what? This is just, at this point, it's like, it's expected, man. But it's just unfortunate, because you would love the NFL or just sports in general to just even it out, right? Like, my biggest thing is, especially when it comes to, like, penalties. If you're gonna call it, just call it even. I ain't upset. I ain't saying what Daron Payne did is right, but you let somebody punch you in your face. You know what I mean? That's why, again, I speak in the term of kind of playing both sides in this, because I understand why the NFL suspended him in terms of the play and him hitting him and whatnot. But my issue is, you let somebody else hit you, and how would you react? Everybody's gonna react in a sense of self-defense. You know what I mean? But then again, my issue is, why isn't the NFL doing anything to Amon Ra? The least you can do is find him after you now know and had time to review the situation and see the play. And Daron Payne literally posted on his story the clip of him getting punched by Amon Ra St. Brown and said, "Oh, okay. Oh, okay." Like that. And that's why I'm like, yeah, Payne, like, we already knew his character isn't like that. We know Payne is a guy that's fire. We know he's a guy that don't go for anything, but he's not a guy to start anything, or like that's just going to just go out his way to be a bully. That's not him. He typically reacts, and he reacted, and I'm not mad at him for it. I'm just more so upset with the NFL not being even. If you're going to suspend Daron, suspend Amon Ra. If you're going to fine Daron, the least you can do is fine Amon Ra, because he literally, did the same thing. But what makes his worse is literally the ref was right there. The ref was right there, bro. And they decided to not do anything to Amon Ra St. Brown for what he did. You know what I mean? And that's the frustrating part about it. And I hope if Daron Payne does uphold this appeal, they at least do something back to Amon Ra St. Brown. He's not going to win the suspension, right? Like, because again, what he did was not necessarily right? And again, especially with it not being the same play, it doesn't look like it was the same play. It looked like it was a few plays later, and he decided. And I think Amon Ra said some more shit, and then that's when he said, "All right, bro, I'm gonna glass you, bro." Like, that's what he said, and then that's what he did. He just glassed him. Yeah, I'm not mad at him for it, bro. We already getting whooped. Our season's over. And shout out to Javon Kinlaw, by the way, because Javon Kinlaw was the first person to say this, the first person to have Payne's back. When everybody was wondering what the hell Payne was on, what happened and whatnot, and when there was no video evidence at the time, Daron was the only person that was getting defended, that was defending Daron was literally Javon Kinlaw. Javon Kinlaw says it's BS, it's bullshit that he got suspended because he got kicked out of the game because he literally hit him first. He saw him hit him first, and everybody was like, "You saw St. Brown hit him first," and he's like, "Yeah." And up until the video evidence that came out today, everybody was waiting for it and saying, "Let's hear it." Now you heard Javon Kinlaw say it, and you now have visual evidence. So I'm expecting the NFL to react. At least you can do is fine him. It's probably too late to suspend him for this upcoming game. The least you can do is fine St. Brown, because again, he does this weekly though. Like, he starts shit. You know what I'm saying? That's one thing about St. Brown. Like, he's the guy that's gonna talk. He's the guy that's gonna start some mess, start some drama, and get people caught up. But hey, man, at least Payne, he don't gotta go to Madrid, and I know that sucks because he may have wanted to, but this guy's rich, bro. He can go in the off season. You know what I mean? So he'll be able to, have basically 2 weeks off in a sense. But yeah, that fine was BS. Now let's talk about Trey Amos' injury, and then we'll get to Dan Quinn and the coaching changes in terms of the play call and whatnot, because I didn't speak on that yet. I've been a little bit under the weather and really busy. Trey Amos broke his leg again, fractured fibula. Same with Will Hurst. It's basically a broken leg. He reacted to it on his story with the broken heart emoji. Again, it's frustrating. This probably is the one that hurts the most outside of Jaden Daniels and a lot of other injuries that we've had. But this is a young fella that we felt like actually had some promise. This is a young fella that I think was one of the lone bright spots in that secondary outside of Mikey Sammerstead, of course. And I think this is a guy that I would have loved to see changes, if there was any, with Dan Quinn now taking over as play caller. Right, like I don't think, and we'll talk more about that once we get to the Dan Quinn segment of the video. I don't think Dan Quinn's doing himself a service by taking over play call. I mean, essentially he's falling on the sword. But I would love for him to have done this when he had Marshawn Lattimore, when he had Trey Amos, when he had some other defenders out there, when it's not just B squad, And Trey Amos, man, it sucks because I know he has a bright future ahead of him. We were so happy about him being drafted here. He had a really good start to the year. Last few weeks, he has dealt with some injuries. But if we can say about a rookie out of that class, like, we've seen the flashes from Trey Amos. Like, you can have questions about the rest of the class, whether it's Jalen Lane, it's Josh Connolly Jr., whoever you want, Al Kaiho, or the other UCLA guy, Kane Madrano, those other. You can have questions about those guys, but I think the one person that I think everybody sold on is Trey Amos, and speedy recovery. Hopefully he can hit recovery hard and he'll bounce back. But it just sucks. But again, at this point, it's what's expected of this season. Everyone is hurt. Everyone is out for the year. It's just like a weekly thing, man. And it's so unfortunate. It's so frustrating because this season wasn't supposed to be like this. But last but not least, before we get out of here, make sure you guys use promo code juangottibusiness on SeatGeek to get 10% off your first purchase. Wizards are in action. I don't know if you want to see that, but the Capitals are in action. Live sports, live entertainment events, whether it's sports or not, you can go ahead and get $10 off your first purchase by using Juan Gotti at checkout on SeatGeek. So go ahead and do yourself a disservice. Get away from this team. They don't deserve your money. They don't deserve your time. Go spend that time doing somewhere else, going to another event that is worth the while, because the Washington Commanders sure aren't. Lastly, Dan Quinn officially takes over for Joe Witt Jr. And as I said yesterday, I didn't get a chance to make a video, but I made it short. I feel like it's too little too late. I like the move. I think it's something that should have been done weeks ago, though, right? Like, we've been clamoring for Joe Witt to be relieved of his duties for a month now. I got a friend that literally said it after week maybe 3 or something where it's super early in the season, where he said, I don't know about Joe Witt, he needs to be fired. Then this is early September. So there's some people out there that have already been knowing about Joe Witt Jr.'s incapabilities of being a defensive coordinator. And last week it was just bad, right? It was just bad. I mean, I was there in person, so I saw it. Like, it was like the Lions had played offense only on Madden. You know, when you could pick offense only kickoff and normal on the practice settings. It was like it was offense only out there, man. And it was just unfortunate because offense played well, if you ask me. If they would have had more opportunities to get on the field, they probably could have kept it a competitive score or a competitive game, but they couldn't, because every single time the defense got on the field, touchdown. And it wasn't like the Lions were doing anything special. They weren't. Just run up 4 or 5 yards turnaround. Jameson Williams, and route, drag route, easy money. It was so simple. No pressure on the quarterback, right? No uncomfortable feeling like for Jared Goff, like we had last year in the playoff game. You know what I mean? We didn't force any turnovers. We didn't force any stops. They just had whatever they wanted. And Dan Quinn has finally seen enough. And I'm happy that he's taken over, but I just hate that it was this. Why did we wait so long? Why did we wait so late? Should have been did this. Should have been did this when we had an opportunity to turn the season around. Now, I know theoretically he probably thinks, oh, we can still turn the season around. No, season's cooked. We're 3-7. If you run off the rest of the season and finish 10-7, I mean, does that really do you a disservice? I mean, does you a service, right? Like, at this point, we're in a running for a top 3 pick, if we're being honest. And I'd much rather I don't like talking loser football, right? I'm not that kind of guy. But, I mean, I'd rather do that than try to force your way back into this season, especially, wanting to force Jaden Daniels back out there after the bye and Terry, like, for what, man? We have nothing to play for. And Dan Quinn taking over play calls, I don't know if he's doing himself a service or not by doing that, if we're being completely honest, because I would have waited to next year maybe, right? Is this the right move? Yeah, he did it, and I respect him for it. Instead of, trying to use anybody else as a scapegoat to save his tail, he just fell on the sword. He said, hey, I got it, and if this go wrong, then it's on me for the rest of the year. But then again, you have just hurt yourself by basically showing that you're incapable of calling a defense, and you were brought here as a defensive-minded head coach, and you was brought here to assist and turn around this defense, and you couldn't do that, and now people are going to want you fired. People already want you fired, and it's insane. After 1 year, you go to the NC Championship, and then the following year, injuries, bad coaching, bad decision-making, now you're out the door. You can be out the door after another bad year if he does have it, and I think Dan Quinn is a good defensive mind. I think he's a good defensive coordinator. I think he can get the best out this team, but I would have waited till next year when everyone is back healthy, right? Like, there's but so many guys that he can get the best out of when it's Antonio Hamilton Sr. out there. No offense. When it's Preston Smith pass rushing and it's not Dorrance Armstrong. You know what I mean? Like, what can we truly expect from this defense to be different? I don't know. I don't know what we can expect from this defense to be different. I really don't. right? No Trey Amos. I love Mikey. Maybe Mikey will see more of him being a playmaker. But at this point, it really doesn't make a difference to me. It really don't. But we'll see. Maybe he's auditioning either for this to be a full-time thing next year, or he just sped up his expiration date, in the words of Louis T. Like, maybe you just showed everyone that you are not a fix, and now everyone wants your head on a pitchfork. Which, again, I respect him for falling on the sword, protecting his guy, but are you sure this is the right decision to make at this current moment? Maybe 3-4 weeks ago, yeah, you could have made it when we had opportunity. But right now, 3-7 with the season's over, you could have started this next year to save yourself. But he didn't. He didn't, and I respect him for it. And shout out to Dan Campbell, because I think Dan Campbell has a big influence on this too as well. He's seen Dan Campbell dice up Joe Witt Jr. as he was the play caller last Sunday. And we're starting to see this to become a new norm, for a lot of these defensive-minded, offensive-minded guys to be their own coordinators. And Dan Campbell was kind of an anomaly because he started as a special teams guy. In New Orleans, he was a special teams guy. And he got diced up by a special teams guy, that being Joe Witt Jr. But, yeah, that being said, sorry if the injury's a little bit low. I'm not feeling the best, and I'm a little bit under the weather, but we'll try to get everything back squared away tomorrow. But I just want to bring that quick video to you all. Free Daron in the comment section. They doing my man Boosie Slim, but it is what it is. It's just the theme of this season. Can't wait for it to be over. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, helps to watch that Commanders. Later, one of y'all. Y'all be easy. Peace.
Ballin' like I'm Deshaun, throw the bomb, G. That's IG, my jersey never seen a line.